These are stories being told with sensitivity, with empathy, and with the hope that we can ignite conversation.
But I think time has come that we talk more and more about it, have more conversations about it, and I think this in itself is a huge step forward.
With mental difficulties or any kind of struggles that they're going through, you can't look at them and tell what they are going through.
That's happened to all of us. It's just the level that we have kind of seen things, being affected by things is different.
So my whole thing was the journey that I have been through. If I can, in the most vulnerable and sensitive manner, bring out.
My character didn't have words. All I had to do was experience the trauma.
It was sort of a responsibility to not let the person in the audience down who might have gone through it.
And this evening is more, honestly, it's more than just this series. It's about opening up our minds, questioning our assumptions, and driving forward a change that the world desperately needs, which it does. Every day, everyone wakes up thinking they know mental health, and by the end of it, they don't. Or maybe end up joking about it. Fine, but as long as you know what it is about, then you don't joke about it.
I would like to invite one of my favorite storytellers, the OG storyteller, the man behind Applause Entertainment, Mr. Sameer Nair. Come on.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for being here today for this really special show and this special moment. So thank you all. This has been truly a labor of love for us, love and passion and hard work. We spent quite some time doing this. So this has been put together with considerable talent, primarily from the teams of Empower, from Antimatter, Applause, and Sony Live, and a real collection of creative talent, from our writers to directors to this truly, truly amazing ensemble of actors. So thank you. Thank you, all of you all, for being part of this. This is not your conventional commercial OTT series. Each episode of Zindagi Nama sheds some light on, different sort of mental conditions. But we are telling stories. These are stories being told with sensitivity, with empathy, and with the hope that we can ignite conversation, get more people to become aware of this. But it's all being done in a manner of, you can call it entertainment, because they are, at the end of the day, stories of hope, stories of love, stories of fun, stories of difficulty and overcoming them. What I'd like to do now is actually, this whole thing started with Mrs. Birla, who first sparked this idea and had called me many years back. So it's taken a long time, sorry about that. But she had called me many years back and told me that, she wanted to do something like this. And then we gradually put a team together and got it all in place. So I think I'd like to call her, Mrs. Birla, founder and chairperson of the Aditya Birla Education Trust. Please come and tell us.
Thanks, Sameer. Hello, everyone. Lovely to see this finally seeing the light of day. I have to say that I'm really excited about Zindagi Nama. I wouldn't call it a project. I think it's, like Sameer said, been a real labor of love for all of us involved here, for my team at Empower, and I'm super proud of them. A big round of applause to them first. I have to be selfish and give them the first round of applause. Everyone's worked really tirelessly on this, and I think it's been a continuous effort from everyone, right? From first thinking of what are the mental conditions and mental challenges that we can talk about, to how to do it, to the casting. And I have to say that Antimatter's team has been hugely supportive. Huge round of applause to them. Because, the entire storytelling had to be done, and it had to be done very sensitively. And, each one of them has written it really very, very well. When you'll see it, you will understand the sensitivity involved, because, it had to be conveyed in the right manner, but it still had to be conveyed. We didn't want to shy away from a lot of topics and a lot of things, a lot of conversations. I think the crew, the cast has done a fantastic job. Again, it's a very difficult subject, but each one of them has done it really well. And I have to say that some of the stories really made me cry. So I think they've done a fab job. I know it's, one of its kind to do a entire anthology on mental illness and the challenges. But I think time has come that we talk more and more about it, have more conversations about it. And I think this in itself is a huge step forward, for Sony Live to agree to show something like this. I know that at the end of the day, commercials are very important. So I think it's very bold of Sony to take this on, and thank you so much for that. I do know that Applause was, finding it difficult. So thank you so much. And I have to say a big thank you to Applause for having the faith to take this big, immense leap of faith. So thank you, Sameer, for that. Really, thank you. I really appreciate it. We've seen COVID, we've seen pandemic, we've seen shutdown, but Zindagi Nama has seen this through. So thank you all so much. This really means a lot to me personally. There's a lot that has gone into it. I have personally sat with the stories, commented on it minute by minute, called up people, ye theek nahi hai, wo theek nahi hai. Let's make this little correction here, little correction there. So it really means a lot, and I really do hope we're able to strike conversation, with series like this, really bring it to households. And I think if we are able to see a change where real dinner time table conversations can be about, genuinely how are you feeling, what have your struggles been, what does your therapist say? If going to the therapist becomes the norm, I think we would have really done a great job and taken conversations forward. So thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone. And let's hope we're able to create Zindagi Nama Season 2. Thank you.
And I do want to introduce the other stories as well, but why don't I do that while I'm doing the panel discussion with the actors and the directors of the series. Actually, it's not even, just anthology. There's 6 very important episodes, and I'd want to know way more. Please welcome the brilliant directors with us. Aditya Saruptar, are you here, sir? Please. He is the director of Bhavar. Louder applause. Yeah. Mitakshara Kumar. She's the director of One Plus to Life. Oh. And finally, let's give a warm welcome to fantastic actors, Shweta Basu Prasad. Where are you? Oh, too good. Superb. And Priya Bapat from Bhavar. And Prajita Kori, Yashaswini Dama, and Lilith Dubey from One Plus. Oh my God, what a great panel. This is a great photo shoot already. Please, thank you so much. First of all, congratulations on Zindagi Nama. Give it up for the panel that's present here. I'm going to try and get myself in center. I have directors and actors with me, and I want to understand, I think, from each one of you, if you can. I'll start randomly. Lilith ma'am, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, and can you tell me, is this the first time you're watching the whole movie?
Yes,
Yeah?
very much. And I want to see the rest of the 4.
What are your first thoughts? What are you feeling?
No, they work. I was only scared that things like this shouldn't have too much of an agenda showing through. They should be relationship stories. Then they work. Then people want to watch them because they get hooked to the relationship, So that worked in ours for sure. And in the one I saw, you feel for the characters, you feel for the relationships. And so whatever else comes through is subliminal, or rather not subliminal, but it's not the main thing. Because it's not like I've come to tell you about anorexia.
Yeah.
I have come to now tell you about this, So those agenda films I get very scared of. And I was worried that I knew from the script that it's not written like that, but that didn't come through, So I think it worked. It worked really well.
Aditya, how are you?
All good.
And you, of course, have not seen the movie for the first time. Because I'm sure, you've seen it
have,
1,000 times
I have.
per day on edit.
Yeah, but it's been a long time since I've seen my last edit.
Okay,
So
that's
it was
nice.
great to kind of catch up with your own film.
Yeah.
And
See it with an audience. I think
yeah,
it
see it
makes
with an
a
audience,
difference.
and most importantly, seeing it with the actors who've performed it,
correct.
because they had not seen the film, and I was really looking forward to seeing how they react to the film.
Oh, and tell me, especially something like PTSD can be so easily trivialized because it's a word that's used so commonly.
No, and exactly why when I read the script, and beautiful script written by Ayushi and Venki, I think
Ayushi
around
and
the
Venki, where are
applause
you?
to
Are you
them.
here?
Yeah, even we are a
They're
very
Woo!
good
Give it up for
writer.
Ayushi
Where's
and
our
Venki?
writer?
Writer represent.
They kind of deep dived into this trauma, they've understood it, they've written it. Definitely the Empower team has kind of guided them. But I've realized that in my film, the story about this 4-year-old girl who has seen an event, and that's triggered the trauma in her, and she's lived with it for so many years. That's happened to all of us. It's just the level that we have kind of seen things, been affected by things, is different. the level she was affected by was big because it was her mom who committed suicide and she saw it.
Yeah.
But I felt that it is so relevant that, we all kind of somewhere deep down, have these old little bit of these incidences we have been through growing up, which have stayed with us while we've grown up.
Also repressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, repressed.
The idea is that.
Yeah,
That's why you go to
totally.
therapy. To
Exactly.
delve into all that, to
Yeah.
understand why you feel a certain way at a certain point in your life.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, which is a great segue for me to speak to ma'am, who played the role of the therapist in it. And I think I'm really underutilizing the word therapist here because I think it's used very commonly, but there are so many different kinds of mental, resources for you to take care of you and calibrate your mental health.
For me, I've been teacher for nearly 13 years in British school, where we were all, even when we were teaching other subjects, we had to go through these sessions where to understand. So that was there. Rest of the thing, I'll be very honest, lots of people ask me that, what is your process? How do you look
I
so
know,
natural?
yeah.
The only thing I can say after 40 years of doing this is that I just be. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so
Because
simply
people talk about Meisner, Lee Strasberg. We all have gone through it. I'm sure Lilith and others will say that too, because in theater, that's kind of hammered into your head. And you do read them, Stella Adler, whoever. But when you actually walk up there, those things just start happening within you, as simple as that.
Daksha, how are you? This is a question or this is a conversation that I want to have with you and your two little daughters. Your daughters. Now, if you're director daughters only, that's it. 3 of them are my daughters. That's great. Eating disorders, something that is so flippantly, I think, dealt with. And also, more than dealing with it, everyone seems to have a solution for eating disorder. And somehow, you're not sure if it's the right, a solution or not. And with so many opinions about food and eating disorder, how did you possibly try, just encapsulate it into the story?
So, like Lilith ma'am said, primarily it was about relationships. For me, it was about, also it's very personal, I've been through it, right? And I'm not ashamed to talk about it. So when Shalini, she's the EP of the show, when she came with the script to me, the actors were all locked and everything, and I read it. And my first thought was, this is too triggering. Do I want to do it? I don't. And then I was like, no. I mean, if I don't tell this story, then how would anybody else? And exactly like you said, that what my journey was, thankfully the script was written in a certain way. It was not preachy at all. It was more about two sisters. And that really resonated with me. So my whole thing was the journey that I have been through. If I can, in the most vulnerable and sensitive manner, bring out, I try to do that. My family never knew what I was going through because I would not lose weight in what a typical anorexic person does, right? Because मैं गोरी नहीं हूँ, मैं पतली नहीं थी. नॉर्थ इंडिया में जब आप बड़े हो रहे होते हो, ये दोनों ब्यूटी के स्टैंडर्ड्स होते हैं. गोरे काले पे तो मेरा कंट्रोल नहीं था, खाने पे कंट्रोल कर सकते थे, right? I have fair, beautiful sisters, which is what the story is.
Yeah.
My two younger sisters are gorgeous and so thin. We come from a foodie family. And it started then, and then 11 years ago, something happened and something triggered because of some other thing that was going on in life, and whatever imbalance was happening in my body led to wanting to control, right? And the only thing I could control that time was what goes inside my body. I lived on a cup of hot chocolate and an egg every day for 6-7 months. But nobody knew because I wouldn't lose weight normally. Right? So that was like, that's it. So it is very difficult to know what is right. I tried everything, exactly what you asked. I tried everything. I had a solution. I knew what it was. Till I figured I'm abusing my body. For what? For somebody else to say that I'm pretty and I'm thin? I don't give a shit. Right? I know it. So my only thing was to try and put my journey in a film that was beautifully written and given to me. And I don't know how I did it. I think it was just internal.
But I hope that is because both of you acted in such. I don't want to continue, please. Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much. We are very, very grateful that I got to be a part of a story like this. Honestly, when Mitakshara had reached out to me and she told me कि ये दो sisters हैं, they are twins, और मैंने कहा अच्छा, तो कह रहे you and Yashaswini. मैंने कहा twins. कह रहे हाँ, and one of you all has an eating disorder. I said okay. She's like, it is you. I said okay, and it's anorexia. So because there is not enough conversation about this, my immediate assumption was कि anorexia पे आप एकदम पतले दुबले होते हो, क्योंकि अगर आप Google भी करोगे ना, तो the images of anorexia that will come are women and boys and other genders that are very like ऐसे हड्डियाँ निकल रही हैं ये वो कि ये है. मैं मिताक्षरा से बोला, मैंने कहा भाई तुम कह रहे हो कि 2 हफ्ते में शूट करनी है, मैंने कहा मेरे से नहीं हो पाएगा ये. How will I look this? Have you seen 80% of my face is my cheeks? I said, how am I ever going to? She's like, but, and that's when the whole conversation started, where for me, every day I've spent, even if it, whether on set or not, even if it was off set, discussing, talking, prepping, doing trials. I remember Mitakshara and I, we were standing at the look test just talking about this, and I realized that it has nothing to do with what you have decided or perceived ki aisa hai. So she's like, Prajakta, most people with mental difficulties or any kind of struggles that they're going through, you can't look at them and tell what they are going through. So अगर तुमको कोई देखेगा इस फिल्म में, तो the first thought is not going to be, oh, she must be anorexic, because that's not the point of it. It's internal. It is more to do with what goes on the inside. So that was a huge eye opener for me, and the fact that I got to be Yashaswini's twin is another great, because we never really expected to ever be on a project that would be like this. That is also where Yash and I think for the first time met, hung out. We've been friends ever since. So very happy that stories of this, something like this, get told normally without sensationalizing it. Like nowhere in the story that even in Bhavar, there's no one's holding a flag of ki let us make a point. And I love as an audience member who wants these stories, I love that they are quick and they are easy to understand, and the terminology is simple. कहीं पे भी बड़े words नहीं use किए.
Especially Bhavar, the way I think the whole conversation between you and the father of explaining what Shweta was going through was so easy that anyone there's no way that it's going to be a specific zone of people who'll understand. It was just universal.
वो बहुत अच्छा था, and so I'm very happy that I get to be a part of this.
Yes, you have to say a few words.
everybody's spoken so well about the film so far. I don't know how else I can add, but like you said,
actually, I would like to give a premise to you.
Oh, okay.
Is that especially the sister who wants to help? You know, the other conversation that starts is how does one help people who are in that situation? Because your first reaction is to protect, to be as close to fixing it as possible. I want to know what was running in your mind.
Yeah, I it's so, like Prajakta said, this is the first time we watched the entire film, and I was also watching it as a viewer myself. And it's so interesting that we think that there is the responsible sister, then this, you always have attributes assigned to you even while you're growing up. And people think that you stick to that status quo and there's no room for evolution of any sort. And you see that there's a certain camaraderie between the two. There is a dynamic. It bends a certain way, whatever. It's very specific that way. But then the moment you come to the present tense, you see how somebody can rise to the occasion when somebody that they love is in so much pain. When the realization and the weight of finding somebody you care about, and finding out how they're in pain and what kind of a thought process that they've been living with or hiding so plainly behind their normal life and pretending like everything is all okay. We get so stressed when we hear about somebody going through something. How can I show up for you? I don't know how to be there for you.
We sort of make it about us rather than the person in front, right?
Exactly. It's not about you at all. It's just about them, and it's just about you showing up in whatever capacity, even if it just means you sitting there and breathing and saying, listen, I really don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't get it, but I'm here. You explain to me. If I exhaust you, I'm sorry, but explain to me. I want to be there for you. and tell me what you want me to do.
Oh my god, it feels like you guys are playing out a scene. You literally just looked at Project and so you're so nice. I just want to say, as a writer, and I'm most envious when something is written so well. And I mean it in a very positive way. It's just that it's not only did you speak about PTSD, you also associated it to a very rooted, thought of not. There's so many levels to power. And it's time Shweta and Priya speak now because the right side has take care. Now it's the time for the left to take over. Wow, that
Both out.
Cut that.
guys, cut that.
Redacted.
Heavy, very heavy.
But Shweta and Priya, first of all, both of you have sort of aligned together in a project. It's already so juicy. Congratulations. Such stellar performance. Please give it up for them, really.
So for me, I think I really took it up as a challenge because I'm a Maharashtrian. And for a Maharashtrian it was, I think I have to first say thank you to Tia who did the casting for this.
Tia?
So someone who trusts you with so much that they know that you can pull this off. And I genuinely took this up as a challenge. I didn't know much about the script, but I only knew that it's a part from a village and it's a Bihari girl. So I genuinely thought that it would be an image breaker for me because people have always seen me in urban roles. And I wanted to do something which was more rooted, more emotional. At least, Shweta's character, one part I would say, and I'm not comparing here, but she had some elements, like she had words to hold on to.
Yeah.
My character didn't have words. All I had to do was experience the trauma and just express it. And it was difficult, and very unfortunately, by the time we went on floor, I lost my mother, and this was the first project I did.
Oh my God.
So it was kind of, I could feel the pain, I could feel the grief, I was living that moment at that time, and I was on the sets, and then the rest happened. I don't know. I think then I didn't try anything, as ma'am rightly said. I just tried to be in that moment as honestly and as authentically as I could. And obviously, Aditya was there, and I trust him a lot because he has been a friend. And I was so rest assured when I knew that Aditya is going to direct this film. I knew that this is in the safest hands. And it's a beautiful film to watch. And obviously, I cried a lot.
Yeah.
I saw it for the first time, but...
But Priya, first of all, you really did. This is a. I don't want to make it look like it's your proud moment or whatever, but you really dealt with what you were, the cards that you were given. So congratulations on a great performance.
I know that all of us feel this and go through this at some point of time.
Yeah.
But we don't. A lot of times we also have, like, I also relate to the point from the other film, not eating disorder, but I'm a very controlling person.
Yeah.
I want to control my emotions. I don't want to show my vulnerable side. But then there are these moments where you actually end up, just let your guards down and just be. So I think everything that I was feeling after my mom passed away, everything that was happening inside me just came out.
Yeah, I hope not to sound inappropriate or patronizing, but really, I think your mother, she would be proud to.
Yeah, she would be.
Yeah, so I'm very pleased. Give it up for her. Please, this is. And Shweta, how good are you at shifting from being this angry girl to this innocent girl? That face just goes from one to another to another. It is just it's so thrilling to watch you perform. And I hope, I hope you share the same thrill when you perform. But tell me, what are your thoughts?
Well, as an actor, obviously, when you take up a project, you want it to do something to the audience, whether it's the writers, it's the makers, it's your director, it's the editor in that room who's selecting the shot, or obviously, at the end, the larger audience. It could be dancing, it could be crying, it could be cracking a joke, and that would have an effect and a reaction or a response from the audience. A character like Namrata's, where it's so layered, and like ma'am rightly said that, PTSD is usually seen as something so so big that you don't realize it could be something not small but so different, in such a different light as well, and
Everyday way.
and almost every day, and it could be anything. It could be somebody, for example, see an accident, or somebody not getting over something, or any kind of trauma. It could be anything. So for me, it was. I was a little nervous. It was sort of a responsibility to not let the person in the audience down who might have gone through it.
That is, yeah.
It
That's
shouldn't be
yeah.
like, I've gone through this and ye nahi hota hai. It shouldn't be like, are you making a joke on me, or are you saying that this is how it's done? So I was constantly so nervous that I don't want to let that person in the audience down in whatever capacity is relating to this, in whatever capacity is responding to the story, to the character. It's your story, and it's for you.
And I have thousands of more questions, but I want to break 1 minute to check if the media has any questions to share right now. Would be great time. Yes, hi.
Hi. My question is rather generic, but it probably appeals to everyone because as actors, you all can, drop in and say what you all went through it. And as directors, I think it was a bigger question for you that when you work with a subject like this, there's always a challenge of blending authenticity and storytelling. You don't want to be preachy, but at the same time, you want to not prove a point, but at least start a conversation. So when you worked with this, you obviously as directors would have had a certain approach to it. So if you can share that, and as actors, what inputs, if any, did you all have? So you can go ahead and please tell us.
Okay, let me speak this time. See, the thing is, I completely agree with what Shweta said, that you don't want to come across as something you've created a version of that is not authentic. And that tends to happen a lot many times. Like, as filmmakers, we always have this tendency to kind of pick up from things that we have assumed, and we've kind of projected that, and that not necessarily is not always the reality of things. So that the point was that with the writers, with me, with the producers, we always kind of sat down and said how to make this more real. It has to be written also in that sense. It has to be written in a more realistic manner. The conversations have to seem more real. It can't be written in a very dramatic way and I can do magic with it. No. It has to come on paper and then the actors have to believe it. And we can just kind of create what's written on paper and put it out there in the most effective way. So I feel that when you are making a film like this, the responsibility is tenfold because you're talking about a matter that's so sensitive. And you don't want to kind of go wrong with it. But you don't want it to be preachy. You don't want the subject to be in your face because eventually we know this is going to go on some platform, which now is on Sony Live, and people are going to watch it also as entertainment. So we don't want them to kind of feel that this is some YouTube episode they're watching on mental health and they can switch off. We wanted to keep them involved in the storytelling and keep them involved in a way where they don't even realize that this ended up being something that kind of gave them a little more insight on mental health. So I think that was the whole, the challenge, but I think we've tried our best at all our fronts to do it in that sense, and I'm hoping kind of it works with the audience.
If you really look at the way that India is going right now digitally, we are the biggest digital superpower in the world. And as much as all of us would like to believe that it's because of the great content we're making, no, it's because of the diverse audience that we have. The fact that India is the only digital economy in the world which has an audience for everything. It has an audience for films like this. It has an audience for my travel vlogs. It has an audience for videos of kittens just being for 12 hours. It has an audience for everything. So if there was ever a time to tell stories, it's now.
No, I think I feel everybody kind of talks about this a lot, but we need to kind of acknowledge the fact that let's stop overburdening cinema with the fact that if you watch something, you have to go out and behave like that. Aise nahi hota hai. Like Dear Zindagi, I think was an extremely well-made film and it did its part. All these films you spoke about, I think they have done their part in their own way of affecting subconsciously or in some form or the other, getting that audience to kind of understand what the point of the film was. How many of those who kind of walked out of the theaters went to straight a counseling session? I think we should not kind of overburden the fact that cinema is meant to kind of start conversations, not kind of make you act on them. So I think the whole gang's approach or the aim was to get the conversation started, even if it's in your brain and not among people.
Just also want to say, as an audience of this movie and defender of this movie and this anthology series, that it'll be very unfair to say that tier 2, tier 3 does not know about mental health and tier 1 does. Somehow tier 1 is terrible at it because it knows too much but doesn't know enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.